well. I am super excited about doing this, and thanks, Darren and the wonderful crew over at Stewart Title for putting this together. We decided we were going to put together a weekly class where we just talk about different parts of marketing and mostly on the digital side. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Today is going to be specifically around creating content that matters. You know, there's one thing about actually creating content. I talked to a lot of real estate agents. Anyone who's currently creating content, like posting on social media or doing blogs or sharing via email, anyone just put yes in the chat box, by the way. I like to make this interactive. So if you don't mind, just give me a yes or no in the chat box there. Awesome. You got some people. Yes, yes, yes. Wonderful. So we're going to talk about creating content that matters. And I've put together a process and a system that really works. Okay, yes, on Facebook. So I'm going to share a little bit about the process. We only have about half an hour together. I don't want to make it too long, but short and sweet, kind of get to the point. And then if you guys have more questions, we can stay a little bit after and go from there. But I want to respect everyone's time as well. So I'm going to use the whiteboard to talk mostly about this. I want to make sure I get everything that you guys have that you want to have answered today answered. So I want to do that for you. Make sure you walk away with as much value as you possibly can. With that said, if you have anything specific you have questions about or you want to cover, put that in the chat box right now. So that way we can go ahead and I can answer those. So let me see, Darren, if I don't think he can hear me. I'm just going to shoot him a quick text. I just need to get access to share my screen. But that'll give you a minute to type in what you're hoping to get out of today. So if you haven't put anything in there in the chat box, please go ahead and put it in there. If you have any questions, concerns, just ideas or things that you want to get answered today, make sure you put that in there. But what we're going to talk about here is creating content that matters. And the first thing that really pops out as I'm waiting for everyone to type in their questions, but the thing I want to point out today is that really what it comes down to is you got to understand your audience. Okay, great. Looks like I have access now. Wonderful. All right, so I'm just going to create a whiteboard here so we can, not share my screen. I don't want to share it. I want to do a whiteboard. There we go. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay. So first of all, the thing you have to understand with creating content, and the key to all of this is really picking an audience to market to. So what does that mean? Well, you've heard of niches, right? Everyone has a niche. A lot of times businesses start off a niche. Does anyone remember how Amazon actually got started? What their specific niche was? I love asking this question because some people know it, some people don't. Actually, recently, a lot of people remember what it was all about. And what the content comes down, what's it? Okay, good job. My daughter just jumped in to tell me that she cleaned her room all by herself. Great job. Yeah, go talk to mommy, okay? All right, so this is the life that we're living right now. Kids are everywhere. Going back to the question I asked, which was, I'm trying to move this screen around. Okay, so what did Amazon start off as a niche? Well, they started selling books online. So they started there and now they rule the world. And they're running everything, whether you like them or not, but they sell everything. But they started in 1999 just selling books. And they basically changed the way we bought things and how we bought books. So you really have to pick a niche, and then you can always expand from there. But identifying a niche such as, for example, things like people like new families, okay? New families, families that maybe people are just getting married and they're buying their first house, or maybe a young family that maybe has a starter house, but they're growing and they need to expand and find a bigger house now that their children are growing. It's amazing, right? Children grow. Holy cow. But they need to find a new home. Another one could be, okay. So someone asked a question. I'm going to answer that later. Thank you for that, Abby. I believe that's how you pronounce your name. If it's not, I apologize. But I'm going to answer that question at the end of today. I promise I'll get back to that. But so, niches are important. So you got to find a niche and identify a niche. And that will really help you with your marketing and creating content. Okay. So let's just get into creating content right off the bat. Okay. Identifying your audience is very important. And when you do that, then you can start to find interesting topics that relate to them, right? Like the hardest thing, and this is why niches are so important, the hardest thing is to market to a general population, right? People are so accustomed now with the way technology is and the way we have with tools and analytics. We want to give people more of what they want when they want it. And so if someone is interested in buying a house, do they want to get content that is related to selling a house? No, absolutely not, unless they are also selling a house. But if they're a first-time home buyer, then they don't care about selling a house. That has nothing to do with them. So you really have to understand your audience, and then vice versa. If someone is selling their house, but they're not necessarily buying a house or whatever it is, or they're more focused on the selling part before they buy, or they've already been through buying a home, they don't need first-time home buyer information. They need to know, what do I need to do to sell my house as fast as possible to get the most money out of it, and who can help me do that? And what are the things that I can do myself to make sure that it's prepared and ready? So this is, and then also, for instance, real estate agents have to be local, right? They have to cover a certain area. And so if you're covering all of, let's say, all of Austin and surrounding areas, it's going to be hard to really be able to give them content in their community. You can segment them out, and that works great, and that helps, but that's a lot of work. And so that's just why I say, when you start off creating content, pick like one or two niches so you can create content. It makes it easier on you until you get in the habit of creating stuff. So content comes out of this. There's 6 categories of content. I call it the 6 pillars of content creation. Why is this not letting me do this? 6 pillars. Why is this not letting me type now? I just typed. Okay. Dun, dun, dun. Why is this not? This is so. Okay. I don't know what is going on, why it's not letting me type. What I'm going to do is I'm going to exit out of here and try again. Maybe that'll help. Okay, but the 6 pillars of content, I'm just going to say them. You guys can write them down because I don't want to take up too much time trying to mess around with content or with this. Okay, there we go. 6 pillars of content creation. First one, your story. Your story is very important. Your philosophies, things that you believe in. Your story is important because you're in a people business. I'm in a people business too, but we're in a people business. And that most businesses now are in people business. We want to work with a person. We don't care about the brand. We don't go and call, most people don't go call Keller Williams. They don't go call EXP. They don't go call Berkshire Hathaway. They call Dan. They call Susan. They call Shonda. They call Sharon. They call, I don't know why I picked all S's for the women's names, but but they pick a person, and you need to tell that story. That story also, though, shares a lot about you. It creates a commonality, builds trust, and helps people to get to know you before they even actually sit down and start working with you. So it's really helpful. And you should use your story in all content categories, and I'll talk about a little bit how to distribute the content. Second is philosophy. So philosophies is where you actually talk about what you believe in, what you don't. Obviously, in real estate, there's code of ethics. There are rules and regulations and things that you have to abide by, and people overlook all that stuff. So you've got to be careful in what you do, but you also have your own philosophies. What do you believe in? What you don't believe in? Different approaches to different situations. So share those. Number 3 is success stories. If you have been in real estate for a while and you're not a newbie, you have success stories. You have clients that you've worked with. Share that information, even if it's not a direct testimonial from somebody, but sharing your experiences through that. There might be difficult situations, there might be really easy situations, but everything has a learning experience inside of them if you really identify them. You know, I have one client that I work with, and she actually helps, she does a lot of new builds. She also works with a lot of investors, and she's talked about how home inspections are actually important for new builds. And not a lot of people I've heard from the real estate side discuss that type of information, and it's really good. But she has a couple stories, in fact, that talk about why those are so important. And it's because, you know, the sheetrock would bend in the wall when they went in the house and they moved in, and they never got a home inspection. And so it was a new build, but they didn't build it properly, and that was a problem. And so if they would have got a home inspection prior to all this, they would have got that fixed without having to worry about it. So there's stories that you can share and success stories. And then also, if you can get testimonials from your clients, that's even better. You know, like getting a physical person to get on a camera, get your phone out, give them a couple shots of tequila or wine, well, not shots of wine, and then videotape them telling just like 30 seconds of what they love about working with you, then that's a huge part of it. So success stories. Number 4, education. Okay, educate your clients very much. Educate them on everything. And this is a great opportunity not only to create your own original content, but you can also pull information. There's plenty of websites. The associations, you know, have information you can share as well. But you want to be able to put your own philosophies and your own twist on all of this. And so share educational, you know, things, topics. You can do Google searches to see what people are searching for, what they're talking about. You can also just use and leverage the conversations you have with clients who are constantly asking you same questions, or you're going through the similar experiences. So share that with the public, because if one person has that question, most likely a lot of other people have that same question. So it's really good to create that information. This is also a great opportunity to leverage your strategic partners. So you have partners that you can go out there, mortgage lenders, you have title companies, you have insurance agents, you have painting companies, you have flooring companies, you have all these companies that complement what you do and help you, and they also go after the same type of clientele. So have them, if you get 5 strategic partners to create one blog post, let's say one blog post or one video per month, that's 5 pieces of content, potentially even more. If they create a video, I'm going to talk about this in a second, you can actually transcribe that and turn that into a blog post pretty quickly. So you can actually have, like, if you have them start with a video and then you get it transcribed and edit it for them, then you'll have 10 pieces of content that you can share on a continuous basis. And that's 10 pieces of content per month that you don't have to worry about creating. It makes your life a whole lot easier. And then that multiplies. And the nice thing is you can continue to share that information, because just once you share it once, it doesn't just stop there. You want to continue to share it multiple times, especially in social media, because social media, the news feed just keeps on going and going and going, and the algorithms are there. And so usually about 3 to 5% of the people that follow you don't necessarily see your posts. And so doing that on a consistent basis, you'll hit multiple people, you'll hit more of your people on a consistent basis without having to worry about if they saw it or if they didn't. So education, create that material. It's really, really powerful. Number 5 is current events. Current events are things like going on in the neighborhood. We have community impact in Texas, right? In other parts of the world, you have Patch. You know, Patch is a hyper-local news resource, actually, that is through AOL. But they really focus on hyper-local areas. And so you can go into each city on the Patch and find content pertaining specifically to that area. I follow them on for like the Cedar Park and Leander area where I live. And I also do it in the Austin area, and I get updates on different things that are going on, especially with all this crazy stuff that's going on right now. And so you can share that information with your clients. Just repurpose it and share it. You can share the article, but put like a little bit of a twist, your own thoughts on it. Put it on there, and it'll help tremendously. So do that. Let me just see. I saw someone put in a chat too. Do you start to go from 1 to 6 in order? Can you tell us, use an example, how you do this in Facebook and Instagram? Do you start with a story and go 1 through 6? In this meeting, are we going to discuss more technology? Many of us know what is now being discussed. I don't know. We are going to talk about technology, but I mean, Jane, I don't know you unless we've been in class together and know this type of stuff. But this is very foundational pieces, and if I know that all 22 people in here know that, then yeah, sure, I can turn to the technology piece. But the topic today, Jane, is talking about creating content. It's not the technology tools. Technology tools is going to be another conversation that we're going to have later on. This is more so how to create the technology, how to create the content, and then you can use the technology. Because if you're already creating content, then I mean, wonderful. Then you shouldn't be on this call right now. But this is really focused on creating content, not the technology tools behind it. So with that said, I'm going to get back to we get more views in the Facebook post and add them to the Facebook story. Okay, these are good questions that I can definitely answer. Hold on one second. Let me just finish the last one. Last one is personal. So personal is sharing stuff about yourself. That's very important, especially in social media. You have Throwback Thursdays, you have Tuesday, whatever it is. You have Women Crush Wednesdays, or whatever it's called, Man Crush Mondays. But you have all this stuff. Personal, though, not just like your family or what you're doing, but also your interests, your hobbies. Those are things that are really good to share because people can get stuff out of this. One thing I always recommend is if you like to cook, or if you like to make drinks and you're really good at that, that is great stuff to share on an ongoing basis. And that is more personal, but it also helps really with creating all this stuff. So with that said, someone asked, let me go back to this question. Do you start from 1 to 6 in order? No, you don't have to start from 1 to 6 in order. But what I do recommend is that you definitely have to have your story. So it's important to have your story. How you want to sprinkle this out is really up to you. But I have another rule that I call, and it's the 70-30 rule. And so what this comes down to is that 70% of the time you are sharing value pieces. So things like, educational material, current events, even success stories, even personal stuff, something that adds value to your customer's life. The 30% of the time you are asking. So the 70% of the time you're adding value to someone's life. 30% of the time you're asking for someone's, for a call to action. You're asking them to contact you for buyers. You're asking them for, you're asking them to get a in-home, valuation of their home, or maybe an online valuation of their home now because of how the situations are with everyone being quarantined. So you got to be careful, but you want to provide more value first. And this is the problem with real estate agents. I see this all the time. Too much me, ask. That's all it's coming out. There's not enough value-added content being put out there, and there's too much stuff focused on how can you work with me versus how can I help you first, and then I'll work with you. So focus on that. With that said, this is where I'm setting up the premise to answer the question of 1 through 6. This is where you start to sprinkle in these different things. You can add your story in there. You can start off with an educational piece. You can sprinkle in these different pieces, and then you can work in things like your success stories or other educational pieces that have more of a call to action in there. So really, it's just a matter of determining what you do. Now, from a distribution standpoint, how much do you post? I recommend that you post 2 times a day on social media, if we're talking about social media, okay? 2 times a day. If you're using email as well, email you can do 2 to 3 times a week. And this is what I mean is you got to ramp up building up this content, because what it shows, what statistics have shown and studies and personal experience for me is that, first of all, the 2 times a day on social media is like a starting point. On Instagram, you can actually post like 4 times a day. In all honesty, the more you post, the better it is. They've added a new algorithm to Instagram that has kind of pushed people down now. So you got to do more to get more recognition. But then with emails, this is why I push emails, because emails have never really changed. People are a little bit more, okay, so give an example of telling your story. So hold on, let me finish my thought there for a second. So, sharing 2 times a day on social media, the algorithms get pushed down. So what I recommend is actually 3 social media channels: LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Facebook and Instagram, you want to post 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. LinkedIn, you could do 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. Okay, so can you give an example of telling our story without talking too much about it? No. So the story is fine talking about you. That is not a problem. That is a good thing to do. It just, you don't want constantly being about me. And what I mean by me is more so like, I see this all the time. This is my listing. I just put this under contract, new listing, under contract, all this stuff. Like, and all their post is like the new contract stuff. And that's all like, oh, look what I'm doing. Look at all this great stuff I'm doing, which is cool. That's great. But then people get really accustomed to it. And they're like, their brain kind of shuts off. They're like, well, this is not doing anything for me. Like, good for them. They're doing great in the real estate career, but how is that actually helping me with what I need? And so that really does nothing for me. So, and trust me, when people come, like as a consumer myself, when we have questions, we jump on the internet first and foremost. We ask Google a question. So putting out this content that has a little bit more value behind it is more valuable. So, your story still can resonate with people, and it's important because people want to know why you got into real estate. So that's not necessarily, I don't want you to take it the wrong way that it's too me. It's not. You just don't want to constantly be telling your story over and over again as the only piece of content. It is good to be consistent, but you don't need to share it on an ongoing basis without sprinkling other pieces in there. So these are the different ways of distributing it. To go back to the question of 1 through 6 in order, no, you can do things like this is, I have a whole template laid out, but there's like things where you can start off with like your story, then share educational piece, then you can do, like a current event. And then the 4th one could be a success story with a call to action. Number 5 could be, something personal. Yes, so someone asked, do you recommend posting as frequently on LinkedIn as you do on Facebook and Instagram? Yes, still 2 times a day, just different time frames. Same thing with LinkedIn. I don't know if you've spent any time on LinkedIn, but LinkedIn has really, really become a social platform. It is up there. People are posting pictures, videos, sharing events. A lot of people I know spend more time on LinkedIn now than they do on the other social media platforms, because that's where they're getting business and that's where their clientele is. So it's just really a matter of finding your platform. If you start to get business from LinkedIn, then I would shift more of your time on there. But from an automation standpoint, you can just post this stuff. Like Facebook has its own scheduling tool inside Facebook business pages, so you can automatically get all the stuff set up and have an automation tool. LinkedIn, on the other hand, and Instagram, you can use a tool called Buffer, and buffer.com, which has a free version to it, and you can upload and schedule this stuff out. And there's other scheduling tools out there. There's a ton of scheduling tools that really are extremely powerful. So, okay, Cheryl asked a great question. Could you give us a quick example of telling your story, of a tell your story post? Okay, so great thing is, like, for me, and this is the best thing I can explain, is that you could create a picture of something that happened in your past, right? Like, I have a picture of me on the couch when I was a kid with my mom and dad, and it's kind of funny looking. I'm dressed up as Superman, and I could post that picture on there and be like, you know, when I was younger, my parents taught me about entrepreneurship, and this is how it led into what I do today. Is because my dad, and I can share this whole story about how my dad at 10 years old taught me about, he actually helped me start my first real kind of business, which was shoveling driveways in the streets of Chicago, well, Skokie. I was outside of Chicago, but the Chicago suburbs. And that's something you can share. You can also grab another picture, because visuals are really powerful. A lot of times those are better. And if we're talking just on social media, then you having a visual to go along with your story is helpful, and create it kind of like short. Another great way of doing it is you can share your story by actually creating a video of you telling your story. But keep in mind, like, if your story is pretty long or you have a lot of pieces to it, you can cut it up in different parts. I have another client, Donna, who from Keller Williams, who had her story is pretty long. She's got a lot of pieces to it, so she cut it up into 3 different parts, and it really works well. You know, they're like 5 or 6 minutes each, and she just shares them. And so you can use your story and create it in video format. You can use a picture to spark a conversation. The picture actually works really well with Instagram. Although if you have a longer video than 60 seconds on Instagram, you can use IGTV, which allows you to post things up to like 10 minutes or 10 or 12 minutes in length. And so you can upload the full length video there, and then you can share it onto your regular Instagram. It automatically creates a preview and then helps them click through to IGTV. So I hope that answers your question there, Cheryl. I'm happy to elaborate on it a little bit more. So someone asked, Cheryl, you asked another question. Will we get more views if we take our Facebook posts and add them to our Facebook story? Absolutely. So more people actually are spending time on stories than they do on actual posts, or sometimes the posts don't get seen as much as on the Facebook stories. So what you can do, and what a lot of people do is, and this works across really Facebook and Instagram. LinkedIn doesn't have stories. So you can go on there though, and you can create a post and you can put it up onto your story, your Facebook story, your Instagram story, and then you can share it to the rest of it, and then people can come through and see it. I mean, I think I have a lot of friends on Facebook, but when I post it on my story, I get a lot more views that I know from that than when I do on the regular post. So yes, I would definitely take advantage of posting that. Okay, creating content, let's go back to this. So posts, how do we get our posts back in people's Facebook feeds when we fall out of them? I'm talking about Facebook and Instagram. So yeah, so the algorithm has changed quite a bit, and what has happened is that Facebook is pushing it down. So you need people to be more interactive. So what you can do, and this kind of falls into like the personal category here, is that memes are extremely attractive for people right now, right? Like, people love memes. I have a whole group of basically people sharing all sorts of funny memes, and you can grab these memes and actually sprinkle them into your posts. The great thing about this is that most people will interact with them. That means they'll like it, they'll love it, they'll laugh at it, they'll comment on it, they might even share it. And so with that, what you can do is that when you sprinkle those posts in, let's say you do like 2 or 3 memes a week, right? Out of your 14 different posts that you're gonna do for the week, if you do about 3 of those that are memes, you're gonna get people that are interacting with your page more, or with your posts more. And then that's gonna pull your post up higher, so they're gonna start to see it more. So you use kind of like funny, laid back things that have, you know, maybe they have something to do with real estate, or maybe they don't, maybe it's just in general, but if they like it and laugh on it, they're gonna start to see more of your posts. So you wanna get people to be more interactive. You could also start posting questions. You could also do things like doing giveaways, maybe providing a gift card, saying, you know, if someone, I have a riddle, or I have a question, you know, regarding around XYZ. And it could just be a random question. It doesn't have to necessarily be around real estate, but you can ask them a question and say that the person that gets this right will get a 25 gift card to a local business, or maybe to a local brewery, or to a local winery, or they'll get a bottle of wine or something like that. Give them something that people would enjoy. It's good to know your audience, so that way you know what that they'll really enjoy, and also things that everyone will get. And getting people more interactive, that will get your posts and your views boosted up, and you'll be able to, they'll see you more in your newsfeed. So that'll help tremendously. What I would also do too is stop relying on social media so much, is that really take people from your social media and get to collect their emails and get them onto your email blast and use emails, because people will open up emails about a lot more consistently than they will with social media posts. So like on average, if you do a really good job with emails, you can get about a 25% open rate, sometimes even more. And if you get 25% of 100 people, that's 25 people, and that's a lot better than having only 5% of 100 people looking at your Facebook post, right? So you can get a lot more interaction, you get a lot more eyeballs. Even if they don't open it, they still see your name in your inbox. And so you can use this content really honestly across all the platforms. So whether it's email or social media posts, or just having it living on your website, which is also important. If you don't have a website and you're not putting the blog posts on there, you're missing out on search engine optimization and getting found in search results and being found when people are Googling stuff. So you're missing out on that. So you got to take advantage of using those pieces as well. And you have to understand how all this really works. So create the content, start with the content. Easy things to do, start listing out topics. Like right now we got, okay, yeah, I'll tell you more about the search results and the blogs and keywords in a second. But start to list out the content ideas that you have in your mind. Take a piece of paper or write it down on a Google Doc or something and write out all these topics, so then you can start creating them, but also pull together these resources like the current events, the places, the third-party resources, community impact, all these other platforms that you can pull information. Use that, gathered all those, and then spend an hour a week or 2 hours a week pulling together the posts that you're going to put together. But then you got to set a time aside for creating content. And this is how you do it really efficiently. Like, one thing is that if you can create a video and you're not shy around creating video, or you are shy, but you're willing to give it a shot, because it's really not that hard. And I have a video that's actually called How to Make a Video. And it's really geared towards real estate agents who are afraid of creating videos. But it's very simple. You just need your phone, you boost it up on there, and then you record yourself. And let's say you do a video that's 7 minutes long, right? You can actually take that video and you can get it transcribed by rev.com, and they'll do it for $1 a minute. So if you have a 7-minute video, they'll cost you $7 to get it transcribed. You do a little editing, or you hire somebody to edit it, because the transcription is not going to sound the way people read. You edit the material, and then now you have a video and you have a blog post. And then blog posts, you put it up onto your website. So keywords, we're talking about blog posts and getting search results, is that this is going to be this is probably, Cheryl, if you really are interested in this, I can talk about this in another time, but that conversation is very deep and goes into a lot of detail. So I could do another class, or we could set up a time outside of this class where I could share some information about it. I have some processes around it that really helps you to get searched really fast, but it's very detailed and it's very long. But it's not hard. Okay, great. I'll definitely share that with you, Cheryl. It's not hard. It just takes a little bit of time, and when you know it and you know how to do it and you have a process, it obviously works faster. So, all right, great. I'll send you an email for sure, Cheryl. And then we can set up a time to talk about it. Awesome. 2 thumbs up on my part. All right, so we're a little bit past 1:30. We're at 1:40. I know this was a lot. I really hope, though, you were able to get some more information about the type of content to create, and then how to really, using that 70-30 rule, to be honest with you, will help you to get to get calls to action, to get people to convert. This is the problem, is that either you try to convert people too much and don't provide enough value, or you provide too much value and don't ask to convert them. So having that 70-30 rule really helps to determine and how to convert people into getting actual clients from doing all this activity. And not just clients, but referrals too, right? Like, this is amazing how you can do it. Yeah, absolutely, Claudia. This was recorded, and you will receive a link to the recording as soon as we're done. So, so I hope everyone really enjoyed this. Also, make sure you take advantage of the emails here. I can't stress that enough. Depending on what brokerage you're with or what team, there are tools available to you that you can use. And if you have any questions around other tools that maybe you don't have access to, feel free to let me know. But we will have another talk. I don't remember which one it is, but we have one coming up every week now. Same time, every Thursday at 1 p.m. to 1:30. I forgot which one is the one we're going to talk about the tools, but I think that's coming up. It's either the next one or the one after that. So we'll definitely get into that. And I know there was a few other people, and I apologize for the people that were on that were looking for something different, that this wasn't that, but it is what it is. And I really hope everyone got some value out of this. And I have some follow-up material to help everybody as well. And one thing I'm going to throw out there too, if you don't mind, Darren, real quick.
No, go for it.
So I was thinking about this today, and something I wanted to do, and I've done it actually in the past, but I've been working with more people on a one-on-one basis. But I'm going to open up more of a group coaching class with how everything is now, and people are more stuck in the house than ever before. This is a great opportunity, a group coaching where we're going to just go through a lot of this stuff, a lot more detail, have all the process, and we'll be able to thanks, Cheryl. And we'll be able to, practice what I preach, right? But it's going to be very inexpensive. It'll be like a monthly cost. You can cancel at any time. I really think it's going to only be like $19 a month. Like, I don't want to make it gouging for anybody, but it'd be a great opportunity for a bunch of us to get on the call and just learn a lot of this different stuff, because I have a lot of material and I share a lot with clients. I share bits and pieces in these classes, but this is it'll be more of a step by step to get you to the point where you can really be up and running and rocking and rolling with all your marketing. So I'll make sure I send that information in the email, in the follow-up email, and we'll go from there. But for sure, we'll have ongoing classes at least for the next foreseeable future. So we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about. So thank you everybody. Thank you, Darren, and thank you, Stuart Title, for having me and for putting this together. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Brandon. We appreciate your time. And like Brandon said, we are doing a weekly Get Social class every Thursday at 1 p.m. I also encourage you all to check out our Facebook page and our website, stuart.com/Austin. A lot of our classes, just like a lot of the providers out there, are moving our courses to an online format. So we will be bringing in presenters and offering CE classes, including Legal 1 and Legal 2, starting next month via the live stream. So be safe. Continue to check in with us. Our offices are open. If you do have any questions, do feel free to give us a call. We do have a locked door policy. Just because of COVID-19, we've got some safety precautions in place. So either give myself or your sales executive or call one of our offices, and we'd be more than happy to assist you. So be safe, have a wonderful day, and we will see you guys next Thursday at 1 p.m.
Yes, absolutely. Hold on, let me just save this. Okay, great. I saved the whiteboard. All right, awesome. Yes, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe. And I really appreciate you guys, and thank you, Darren, so much. You are awesome. And Stuart Title is amazing for what they're doing with everything right now and be able to kind of pivot and working with everybody. So shout outs to them. And if I did not get to your question, I will make sure I follow up in an email or some sort of follow up from that too. All right. Okay. That's it. Sorry. All right. See you guys later. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.